Serena Williams is calling out sexism in tennis. Here's why. Serena Williams' heated dispute with the umpire during the US Open final is the latest controversy involving the tennis superstar in recent months. Japan's Naomi Osaka beat Williams on Saturday in a Grand Slam showdown that ended in tears for both players for different reasons. What was supposed to be a fairy tale matchup for Osaka and the player she idolizes spun out of control after Williams was handed code violations that she described as unfair. The 23-time Grand Slam champion has faced racist attacks for most of her career, and after the match Saturday, she said she believes sexism is rampant in the sport. Here's a look back at some recent times sexism has been called out on the tennis court. Serena calls the umpire a thief. Williams accused umpire Carlos Ramos of sexism after she was handed a series of code violations during Saturday's match. Ramos first gave Williams a code violation warning for coaching after he ruled that her coach, Patrick Mouratoglou, gave her hand signals from the stands. Then she got a point penalty for smashing her racket, followed by a game penalty for verbal abuse after she confronted the umpire. "You stole a point from me and you are a thief," Williams told Ramos, prompting the game penalty ruling. At a news conference following her loss, Williams said she's seen male players call other umpires several things. "I'm here fighting for women's rights and for women's equality and for all kinds of stuff. For me to say thief and for him to take a game, it made me feel like it was a sexist remark," she said. "He's never taken a game from a man because they said thief. For me it blows my mind. But I'm going to continue to fight for women," Williams said. Billie Jean King, a tennis legend and equal rights advocate, agreed with her. "When a woman is emotional, she's hysterical and she's penalized for it. When a man does the same, he's outspoken and there are no repercussions. Thank you, Serena Williams, for calling out this double standard. More voices are needed to do the same," King tweeted. For Christine Brennan, a CNN sports analyst, the clashes between Williams and the umpire show that women are not being treated equally in the tennis world. "We know that there's quite a history to it. Think of John McEnroe, think of Jelena Stoss, Jimmy Connors, Andre Agassi. These men all berated chair umpires, famously so. Commercials have been made. McEnroe has done 'You can't be serious' and all the other tirades, top of his lungs over the years, and none of them received a game penalty," Brennan said. "Would he, umpire, have done that with a man? History has said, no. He would not have done that with a man." Retired U.S. tennis star Andy Roddick tweeted, "I've regrettably said worse and I've never gotten a game penalty." Alizé Cornet is penalized for fixing her top. Williams isn't the only tennis player to find herself at the center of a gender-focused controversy. French tennis player Alizé Cornet received a code violation a few weeks ago for briefly taking off her shirt on the court. During a 10-minute break from the blistering heat at Flushing Meadows, Cornet rushed off court to change her shirt. When she returned, she realized that she was wearing it the wrong way and fixed her top. In a statement, the US Open said it regretted the way Cornet was treated. The organization added that all players are allowed to change their shirts while sitting in their chairs, while female players have the option to change shirts in a more private location close to the court, when available. However, male players have changed shirts many times on court without a problem. On Tuesday, John Isner changed his shirt 11 times throughout his 3-plus-hour match against Juan Martín del Potro. A day later, Wimbledon champion Novak Djokovic sat shirtless for several minutes while his opponent, John Millman of Australia, stepped away to change his shirt during a quarterfinals match. Neither of them was penalized. Novak Djokovic stayed in court while John Millman of Australia left the pitch to change his shirt due to the humidity during a US Open men's singles quarterfinals match on Wednesday. And Rafael Nadal regularly takes off his shirt after winning a match. Officials introduced dress code after Serena's catsuit. In Williams' first major tennis match after giving birth, her outfit stole the show. In May, Williams wore a black catsuit at the French Open that helped her blood circulation after a difficult childbirth last September. Her Nike outfit, which she said was inspired by the movie Black Panther, was praised by her fans but had tennis officials shaking their heads. French Tennis Federation President Bernard Giudicelli announced late last month that he will be introducing a new dress code that would ban players from wearing such form-fitting clothes at the tennis tournament. "One must respect the game and the place," Giudicelli said. Unlike Wimbledon, which has an all-white dress code, the French tournament never had a dress code before. French Tennis Federation President Bernard Giudicelli announced late last month that he will be introducing a new dress code that would ban players from wearing such form-fitting clothes at the tennis tournament. "One must respect the game and the place," Giudicelli said. Unlike Wimbledon, which has an all-white dress code, the French tournament never had a dress code before. Television show creator Shonda Rhimes wrote, "The game seems quite content to be played no matter what women wear. Perhaps this man should focus on his own fashion choices and respect the GOAT's right to wear whatever the hell she pleases. #GetOffHerCourt."
This went right after Serena Williams, and of course she is, I believe correctly, talking about the sexism that is inherent in that now.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that, Christine. She immediately claimed that men would have gotten away with calling the umpire a thief, which she did. She claimed on the court, taking her case to the referee and the supervisor, that men get away with far more. Do you agree?
I think the history of tennis shows us, I'll throw out a few names for you: John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors, Ilia Nastase, going all the way back, even Andre Agassi. Misbehavior has been tolerated in a way that it just is not with a woman, and the greatest of all time, Serena Williams. I'm not, by the way, advocating for everyone to lose their minds. I'm not at all. What I'm saying is that tennis is a sport that has never done this. Chris Evert said it on the broadcast, Natalie. She said, this has never before happened in tennis. And the great Billie Jean King saying, when women have this kind of conversation or get angry, they're hysterical. When men do it, they're outspoken. It is time for the tennis world to really look at these issues, in my humble opinion.
Yes, and listen, wipe that hysterical word off the map, period. Well, you answered my next question, which was going to be about Chris Evert making that point right after the match. So I want to talk about what happened afterward. As the audience booed wildly during the trophy presentation, my son was there. He said he couldn't tell what was going on because of all the epic booing. Serena asked him to stop. She hugged Naomi Osaka, who clearly, though a champion, was shaken by the whole thing. Serena, right there, always a class act. But how do you define this chapter for her? And perhaps the pressure is even greater on her long comeback after becoming a mom.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and what a story this has been. And I think she was feeling the pressure and the emotion of it. And again, as several have said, everyone coaches. Every one of these coaches is coaching these players. So it's time to, why penalize Serena and not everybody else? And I think that's a very good point, and Serena has a good point. But what she did, how quickly she was able to pivot and in her emotions, and twice telling the crowd, no more booing, cut it out, and hugging Naomi and basically saying, you know, she deserves this.
I don't know. You definitely can't go back in time, but I can't sit here and say I wouldn't say he's a thief because I thought he took a game from me, but I've seen other men call other umpires several things, and I'm here fighting for women's rights and for women's equality and for all kinds of stuff. And for me to say thief and for him to take a game, it made me feel like it was a sexist remark. I mean, like, how he's never took a game from a man because they said thief. For me, it blows my mind. But I'm gonna continue to fight for women and to fight for us to have equal. Like, Courtney should be able to take her shirt off without getting a fine. Like, this is outrageous, you know? And I just feel like the fact that I have to go through this is just an example for the next person that has emotions and that want to express themselves and they want to be a strong woman, and they're going to be allowed to do that because of today. Maybe it didn't work out for me, but it's going to work out for the next person.